At the Charlotte Motor Speedway, sun is setting over North Carolina, and the stars are coming out at the mile-and-a-half Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's pole position qualifying for the 34th annual Mellow Yellow 500 this Sunday here in Charlotte. Hello, everyone. I'm Ken Squire, and along with me is Neil Bonnet. 51 cars have drawn for position to run for the record at 179 miles an hour, trying to get that pole position for Sunday's race and to decide the top 20 positions. But things are a little different this year than before. NASCAR has decreed some new rules for this track, trying to slow those cars down. We'll give you the whys a bit later, but Neil, for the moment, exactly what have they done?
Ken, after Talladega, which was the last big track, I can attest to you, some of the cars got up in the air. NASCAR's concern is to slow them down, stabilize them, get them going. Let's take a look at some graphics, and I'll try to explain what's happening. You see 4 areas of the car we're talking about. The top will be the old rules, the bottom will be the new. Let's switch over. Okay, here we're talking about the roof height. It doesn't seem like much. The old rule was 50.5. The new rule is 51. They raised the total height of the car 1 inch to try to stabilize it. Makes a big difference on a race car. Let's go to the next one. Here we're talking about the air dam right on the front. You see 3.5 used to be the old rule, which really stuck the car to the ground. 5 inches on the new one. Air going under the car already, not nailing it down, and when it turns loose, maybe it won't fly so quick. The next rule we have right here, the rear spoiler, one of the most critical areas on one of these Winston Cup cars. It used to be 6.5, looked like a wing. Now we're down to 5 inches. The key there, the driver has to use the throttle a lot more, pay attention, trying to keep the cars from getting airborne. The next thing, in case they do get in the air, these cowl flaps right in front of the windshield. When the car turns backwards, the hood acts like a parachute. These things will fly open, release air, and hopefully can keep the cars on the ground. We'll just have to see how it plays out.
Well, they're hoping to bring these cars back a little in speed. Certainly the drivers have got to step out quicker than they have before, and they've got to wait a little longer to get back in the throttle coming off the corner. With more of our coverage of pole position qualifying, let's go to pit road. From Stock Car Racing Magazine, here's Dr. Dick Bergley.
Ken, each of these cars has been specially prepared for pole qualifying tonight. They've blocked off the noses on these cars. The engines, well, they're going to stress them a lot more than they would for a normal race. They're going to run more RPM. They're going to bump the timing up. They also run these engines more lean. As far as the rest of the car goes, they even go so far as to running thinner oil in the transmission and rear end. They shut off all the pumps. They blow up the air pressure in the tires. These cars have been stretched to the absolute limit of the rule book to try to make them go faster. Working with me tonight on pit road from National Speed Sport News, Corinne Economaki. Corinne?
Thanks, Dick. I'll be in the pits tonight talking to the drivers after their qualifying runs to see how they feel about these aerodynamic changes.
We're just about set for the very first run of the evening. It'll be Andy Hillenberg coming on the track in a Chevrolet. He of sprint car fame out of Indianapolis, Indiana, will be the first car on the track. A year ago, for the first time, they ran under the lights, and Alan Kowicki set the record at 179 miles per hour for this mile-and-a-half course and for the Mellow Yellow 500. We're just about set to go. Jeff Bodine waiting fourth on line, and there'll be another short delay before we're underway. We'll take a quick commercial break and come right back to Charlotte.
At GMC Trucks, we built a reputation for truck strengths. A considerable advantage. It also comes in this handy take-home side. Sierra from GMC Truck.
Think of all this as a large block of ice. Think of this as a chip off the old block. Coors Light's aged ice cold. So when you think of ice, think of the silver bullet. The only way to chill.
For the car you drive, for the way you drive. Slick 50 high performance engine formula.
Williams Electric Shave.
Easy shaver, Williams Electric Shave.
From J.B. Williams.
Serving America's great sports networks. You're watching Prime Network.
Everyone talks about how racing technology makes their street cars better. There isn't a car company today that brings more race-winning technology to the street than Chevrolet.
Back here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, it looks like a crowd of some 50 or 60,000 gathered tonight, ready for the first car to roll out in pole position qualifying for the 34th annual Mellow Yellow 500. Everybody sitting back to enjoy a great evening here on this Wednesday night at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Ken, it's amazing when you talk about a Wednesday night and these people come out to see 2 laps of qualifying. I tell you what, Charlotte Motor Speedway has got such a following right here in this area, and it's amazing to have this many people just to watch qualifying.
As we wait for that first car to roll out, and they're moving the crews back away from the team's automobiles down there at this moment, let's talk about the why, as to why they have brought this speed back. I think anyone that saw Talladega has a pretty good idea. Weather looks pretty good, nice overcast for tonight. At temperature and humidity just about perfect as Andy Hillenberg goes out. Why make these changes? We know they came with about 3 bags of those restrictor plates and they weren't used. Why these changes?
Ken, because this is something they're going to do and let the driver be the gauge how hard he runs the car. They can do mechanical things and physically stop you, but here the seat of your pants is the gauge of how fast you go, because the cars are going to be squirming around like they did in the past.
So it's back in the driver's hands, and Andy Hillenberg is the first man to try. This is only his 3rd stab at a Winston Cup race. 30-year-old driver out of Indianapolis, cut his teeth on the dirt tracks in the Midwest. He's away. Car prepared by Mark Reno. Andy Hillenberg, who first came down here with some effort and thanks to A.J. Foyt back in the 80s. He worked on the pit crews for A.J. Andy is away. Car number 29 making its first run, Andy Hillenberg. Into the tri-oval area. This is where they can gain the most speed as they go down into turn number 1. First lap is complete. 31.590, 170.940 miles per hour for Andy Hillenberg as he dips down below the white line up there in turn number 2 and then scoots down the back straightaway.
About how they close the nose of these cars off. They're taped up solid. You can see how shiny the front area of that car is. Solid tape. These motors are, look at the water pumping out of the rear of the car. As Dick Bergen talked earlier, they'll burn them to the ground. That's overflow, just cooking the motor, trying to run 2 laps.
Second lap is the 31.510, 171.374, and that's his quick lap. 2 laps, the faster of the 2, the qualifying mark for Andy Hillenberg. Good, respectable mark for him. Down the back straightaway, second car coming out and getting ready to run will be Billy Stanbridge in a Ford. Here's Dick Bergman. Let's go to Dick Bergman.
Well, down on pit road, just about everybody is getting ready to go. There's a lot of pandemonium going on down here as the teams try to prepare the cars. They're all lined up here. Every car that's going to run is sitting in the line. Some of the drivers have got the motors running, but most of them are warming up the oil with generators that produce some heat in the oil tanks in the backs of the cars.
So we're watching Billy Stanbridge's Ford out of Shelby, North Carolina, making its run right now.
Ken, did you see the spark fly of that car as he went down the corner? You see it right now, still clicking the tailpipes, coming through the corner. They got everything just as borderline as they could possibly be.
And remember, they picked that car up a little on that front nose, trying to make them a little higher, make them a little less aerodynamic, trying to qualify for his first Winston Cup race is Billy Stanbridge in the Ford Thunderbird.
Well, I'll tell you, after seeing the cars stuck on the ground like they were in the past, real low, not a bad lap. Good lap point right there.
171.696 for Billy Stanbridge on lap number 1. Good run for Stanbridge.
Ken, I almost question, we're going to see some big numbers from the top guns, but I'll tell you what, they're going to do it qualifying. The question is, we're going to see how they do in long runs and everything when we get in the race, but they're going to probably put up some good numbers in qualifying.
Ted Musgrave coming out next. Second lap on Billy Stanbridge. Stands him right in there at 31.504. And makes it a 171.407. 171.407 on Billy Stanbridge in his second lap. He'll take the first one and put himself right up on the pole for the moment. Here comes number 55, Ted Musgrave, on the track in the Ray and Diane DeWitt car. Another Ford coming out here, the U.S. Air car for Musgrave, who moves on next year. Coming up to speed, Musgrave out of the Midwest. Terrific racing.
Ken, you know, as we see Musgrave getting ready to qualify right here, with these rear spoilers as short as they are now, I think there was question among some of the people, can somebody really gutsy throw a fast lap even quicker than they did in the past? So we might see some real big numbers for the Knights over just who's got enough guts to do it for a long time.
And again, the business is the driver is taking a lot more control of what this speed will be than we've seen in the past several years. And I think you may see a couple of cars get wasted out here tonight in these qualifying runs, because you do have to step off a little sooner than you did, and you have to leave it a little longer before you really get back into that line. First lap complete. Jeff looking on.
31-0. That's quick right there. That's a good lap.
173.784. Musgrave trying to go for more.
I tell you, you're going to see, just like we saw Jeff Gordon just a minute ago, you can expect a surprise from anywhere. No one knows who's got the really quick car right now, because everybody's playing this new game under new rules. So just have to see how it sorts out.
Musgrave qualified 5th at Rockingham and at Michigan. Comes back to the line. Number 7 car, Jeff Bodine, ready to take that one out. Waiting on that second lap. It's slower, 172.988, and so the first lap is the qualifying mark for Musgrave at 173.784. That pushes him up to the front. But here comes Jeff Bodine in the Family Channel Thunderbird, car number 7, making his 13th attempt here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in the 500. Remember, he won this race back in 91 for Junior Johnson.
Ken, it's his 13th attempt here at Charlotte, but this is his first time in his own race car. He's purchased this team, and he's driving his own race car now, and his shop is about 2 blocks from here, so they really want to get a good run in right here at home.
And remember that car number 7 coming to the line, carrying that number with Alan Kowicki at the controls, a year ago set the track record at 179 plus.
Of course, see, look like all the cars are really clicking the sparks through the corner, and that's usually the tailpipes on the right side dragging. So.
Records 179.027.
Yeah, that'll give you a good indication of how much travel is involved with these cars. Total ground clearance anywhere on the car is like 5 inches, and the car is traveling so far that it's even hitting the lines for that much.
Joe Gibbs looking on. You can see him up there with the winner of the 500, Jarrett.
Now that's a pretty sporty one right there.
177.474. So these changes in the aerodynamics really have had that much effect. Second lap being attempted, and you can see Bodine last lap with a fistful of race car fighting that machine through 3 and 4.
They're supposed to go faster in a straight line with less spoiler. Oh, looked like he lost the motor just as he went across.
Came to the line. Let's see what he did in that second lap. 36.37, not as quick. 177.474, and there's your pole sitter for the moment. It's Jeff Bodine. We'll be back with more from Charlotte after these messages.
For the best in fresh and saltwater fishing, tune in each week to Jim Baugh's American Angler. We'll show you some of America's top fishing holes, as well as great tips on travel and cooking. So join us each week as we take you on the most beautiful angling adventures in America. That's Jim Baugh's American Angler.
Coming up at 5:30 on Nesson, your ticket to the great outdoors.
The National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences recently honored the best sportscast in New England.
Eddie Stone, Brian Quinzel, Bob Rogers, Nesson Sports Desk, the morning edition.
Tune in Nesson Sports Desk anytime from 5 to 9 a.m. weekdays. Our unique 15-minute revolving format puts our sportscast on your schedule. We've worked hard to earn an award like this, and we work hard every day to win viewers like you.
Gear up with Eli Gold as he travels the NASCAR circuit to bring you the inside look with auto racing's big boys behind the wheels on This Week in NASCAR.
Tomorrow night at 11, live from Charlotte, North Carolina on Nesson. Your ticket to the best in motorsports.
Jeff Bodine detonated an engine as he came across the line to complete his second lap of qualifying, almost a mile slower. And there you see him down in the garage area. Hood is up, but for the moment, he's on the pole with the first lap at over 177 miles an hour.
Ken, just as he crossed the start-finish line, we see the puff of smoke, but there's something else I want you to take a look at. Here he is. He's up on the racetrack. Watch how quickly he gets the car to the left instead of coasting all the way around the racetrack. Watch him jump off on the apron as quick as possible. He knows he's cut a motor down, and that's just courtesy to the rest of the drivers. You know, he could have rode around the top up there, put oil down and caused a mess. It's going to take a little bit of work on track, but he sure did the best he could to get out of the way.
He's gone right back to the garage area. Let's go down to Corinne Economac. He's standing by with Ted Musgrave, who currently is second quick.
Ted, you're second quick. You think you'd go faster?
Well, you know, the conditions are right now. It's cooling off. The cars are getting a lot faster as the night goes on. Just luck of the draw, we were the third car out, and we'll see how it holds up. You know, the race is a long race, you know, and that's during the daylight, so, you know, the car usually works good in the daytime, so we're in good shape.
Thank you, Ted. Over to Dick.
Well, Ken Schrader, you sat on the pole with this same car here in the spring. How about tonight?
Well, we're going to try awful hard. It's running good. Jeff Bodine just blowed up and oiled down track a little bit, so we'll just have to see what happens, but that doesn't affect it too much. We got a shot.
Ken Schrader won 6 poles so far this year.
Ken Schrader will be coming out 14th. Next to appear will be Loy Allen, followed by Morgan Shepherd, Rick Wilson, Rusty Wallace, Todd Bodine, Darrell Waltrip, Lake Speed, Bobby Lavanti, Rich Bickle, and then Schrader here at Charlotte to attempt qualifying.
Underneath every new Jimmy is the strength of a strong truck frame. An important advantage for towing, whether you're on-road or off-road. The GMC Jimmy. Drop in for a test drive.
Splitfire earned a United States patent. Splitfire doesn't look like any other spark plug. And the patented Splitfire doesn't work like any other spark plug.
5 extra horsepower by merely installing these plugs. Quicker in the quarter mile. A 4.8% gain in mileage.
There's nothing like a Splitfire. You'll get more power and more mileage, or your money back.
Get guaranteed Splitfire benefits for all gasoline engines at leading automotive stores nationwide.
At 180 miles an hour, Darrell Waltrip can't afford a bad part.
Ouch! Man, that hurt. Like you, I need quality parts at the right price. And at Western Auto, we guarantee it. You'll find thousands of top name brand parts, all backed by Western Auto's unbeatable everyday low price guarantee. Right?
Right, DW. Pick up AC oil filters at Western Auto's unbeatable low price every day. AC oil filters. It's like buying time.
The right parts, unbeatable low prices. At Western Auto, we guarantee it.
Right, DW.
It's the Charlotte Motor Speedway you're looking at. Beautiful shot here over the tri-oval area on a beautiful night. Temperature in the low 70s. A perfect night to attempt qualifying. And the fourth car out, Bodine, turning a lap at 177 miles per hour. For the moment is on the pole. Loy Allen Jr. and his Ford out of Raleigh, North Carolina, getting set to run next. And I think he would be having a few butterflies. Let's go quickly down to Corinne Economac with the guy who currently sits number 1.
I did it on purpose.
We're here with Jeff Bodine. Jeff, what happened?
It blew up.
Can you fix it in time for tomorrow?
Well, we have lots of engines. You know, this is a qualifying engine. They haven't even raised the hood to look. They don't really care. You know, we're here for a mission right now to qualify, and that's what this engine was built for, and it made it. It almost made it 2 laps, about a lap and 3/4. Went out in spectacular fashion, ran a good lap. The first lap was awful good. This is a brand new car. Built it in 2 weeks. Finished it about 3 this morning. So proud of this team. Of course, it's the team that Alan Kwiecki put together, and that's what makes it even more special. He was a great racer. We miss him, but this is a good team. We're having fun. It's been rough the last few weeks. A couple accidents and DNFs, but we're still having a good time.
Probably be up until 3 again this morning. Dick?
Well, a new engine.
Well, Joe Nemechek is so new to the Kodak car, they don't even have his name sewn on the fire suit yet. It's a piece of yellow tape and printed his name on it. Joe, this is your first time ever trying to qualify a Winston Cup at Charlotte. What's the pressure like?
Well, there's, I think the only pressure that's on me is what I'm putting on myself. You know, the Kodak Chevrolet is always run good here.
I mean, the car's always been up front here, so the biggest thing I got to do is get out there, drive the race car, get it comfortable to me. And that's what the guys are working on. You know, this deal come together yesterday, so a lot of things have happened in one day, and today was my first day in the car. We ran about, I would say, 15, 20 laps, all we made in the car. The car is very good. I'm excited. I'm excited to be in it. I'm honored that they called me to say, hey, would you drive this race car for Charlotte? And I'm just honored to be here.
Are you going to run the car for the rest of the year? What's the story?
No, this is a one race program. We have to see. You know, I have a lot of irons in the fire. We've talked to a lot of different teams. The number 4 Morgan McClure Racing Kodak Chevrolet would be a good ride to get in. We've talked to them about next year, but we've also talked to a lot of other people, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. We can run one more race after this. We'll see what goes on, but I'm excited to be here.
Dick Berggren, a lot of people thought this was going to be a deal for Joe that was going to continue till those last races at Rockingham, Phoenix, and Atlanta. What's going to happen with that team?
What's going to happen with Ken Squire just asked me to ask you what's going to happen with your team when you can't drive it for the rest of the season. You can only drive one more race and protect your rookie situation. Who'll be in the 4?
Well, that I don't know. I heard Jimmy Hensley's name pop up a couple times. So Jimmy's a heck of a nice guy and a great driver, and he would deserve a shot to get in this car too. And we'll just have to see what happens after this race. You know, that's not my call. That's Larry McClure and the Morgan McClure race team's call. But who knows what's going to happen?
Well, if it's not set, Neil Bonnet, do you think that telephone in that shop will ring come Monday morning?
I don't know. I think they've seen me in action before.
31st will be Joe Nemechek's number to come out and try his luck at running for the pole here at Charlotte. What a great young new talent he is.
There's something magical.
Jeff Bodine toured the distance of 1.5 miles at 177 miles an hour. His engine expired coming to the stripe. So therefore, everybody's just got their arms folded and waiting to get back into action. As they do, there's Dale Earnhardt waiting with a Braves jacket on.
It's only
That's not too brave around here. A lot of Braves fans are.
I'll tell you what, you know, last week I saw in the locker room after they won the title deal that they had a Goodwrench hat on, so maybe they trade a few products out here. You think so?
You mean you can get him to wear it for trading a hat? There's his car being rolled up. Let's take a look again at what the new regulations really mean in these race cars, Neil. Take a look at this footage for us as they roll that 3 in inspection and talk to us a little bit about exactly what they have done in their effort to curb some of the speed on these race cars.
Ken, they're doing a lot of aerodynamic stuff as we talked about earlier. We'll see if we'll get the footage up here and I'll see if we can tell you more about what's going on. The rear spoiler back here that really holds the back of the car down had, through the years, got a little bit longer, 7/8 back to 5 inches with them. This air dam now, see that adjustable section there where they can raise that aluminum part up and down? Before it was on the ground, now it's up high. This cowl piece, watch how it opens up. When you get backwards, the air would trap under the hood, car would fly up in the air. They're trying to release the air and not let the cars get airborne as they've been doing in the past.
Well, one of the men that everyone is talking about in Winston Cup racing these days is standing by with Dick Berggren right now, and maybe he can fill us in a bit more on this story.
Yeah, I bet he can. Ernie Irvin, how do these cars drive with the new aerodynamic rules?
Well, I tell you, they drive pretty good by ourselves. We haven't got out and drafted yet, but qualifying-wise, the cars stick real good. But I think most of that to contribute to Goodyear and the way the radials develop.
Are the back ends a little bit light, given that you have less spoiler?
Well, after a while on tires, the first few laps on them, it's not bad. After 20 or 30 laps of practicing, the back end gets pretty light. So I imagine it's going to be real light when we get to racing.
You comfortable with him?
Well, I'll let you know tomorrow night.
Ernie Irvin back here in the line waiting for his turn to qualify.
Winner at Darlington. That big changeover that happened left Morgan McClure and moved on into the Yates team.
Ken, we just heard him say the car's a little bit light. That's what they're worried about. We see them in there. This is just the normal procedure right here we're looking at of going through qualifying inspection. They back it in there. That's Dale Earnhardt's car. You see the black bar going across the roof of the car. That checks the height of it. And then they look in the hood, under the hood. They make sure the engine can't be any closer. The crankshaft 11 inches to the ground. Got to have certain ground clearance with the engine. Then they check that air dam across the front. And we actually saw them trimming some off of Earnhardt's car. When it went in there, it was a little bit too low. So they had to take some snips and cut a little bit off. Okay, the guy putting the X, there's a white dot in the center. He put that X in there. He said, okay, this thing's ready to qualify. So you do not go out there and qualify until it's totally inspected. And if this was one of the top 10 cars in qualifying, it'll go right back in that same building after it qualifies, and it's got to pass it again.
run it a second time just in case they found something that would let it drop down?
Oh, every now and then they'll accidentally fall a little bit. But they'll accidentally put you in the garage.
Well, we're continuing qualifying in just a moment. They brought all the safety equipment in, and I think we're just about ready to see Loy Allen Jr. make his run here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Pole position qualifying night for the Mellow Yellow 500 this Sunday. 34th annual event, and they're going for the record and for the top 20 positions. We mentioned how the pole is important, but really that top 20 really counts here tonight. Here's Dick Bergman again.
Yeah, well, one of the men that's hot in the point chase, but you had to change an engine just a little while ago. Is this thing okay?
Yeah, we had a little concern whether we might have seized a piston or not, but we put another engine in, and this engine here is real strong. I think it's probably better than the other one, and so there's no problem.
How do you play this thing tonight? Do you really stand on it, or you have to run it conservatively?
No, you can stand on it. I mean, it's qualified. This is what it's all about, but I'm going to do the best job I possibly can. There's a lot of fast cars out here tonight, but hey, this is qualifying. Let's, you know, I'd like to see where this car is at about the 400-mile mark on Sunday. Really about the 500 mile mark.
Well, you got 3 poles. Are you good enough to get number 4 tonight?
I don't know. Kenny Schrader's awful fast. Let's see. Gaining another one won't do anything.
Okay, he's going to
show off for a while, though.
He's going to have to get in his car. They are moving him off the line now.
Atlanta, Bristol, and Dover has seen Rusty Wallace on the pole, and you know the story about his victories. If they were counting these points as they do in Indy cars or in Formula One, he'd be up on top right now with a number of victories. But he comes in with a 72-point deficit with Charlotte to look forward to, then Rockingham, Phoenix, and finally that second week in November. It looks like it's going to be another spellbinder in Atlanta. On the track for the moment, Loy Allen Jr., Ford Thunderbird, entered by his dad. Car out of Raleigh, North Carolina, comes to the line. Under green.
Get right here. This area of the track here is where he's really got to answer a big question to himself. Did they clean the track up? Right there is where we saw a little problem with Bodine. He bottomed out real bad and slid up the track. You know, anytime that thing hits bottom, it shoots a car up the track, and it costs you some valuable time and speed.
Loy Allen's had some very good runs in ARCA racing. Here he is back down to the bottom as he scoots through 3, and they have greatly improved turn number 4. They've done a lot of work out here on this 4th turn, trying to get some of those bumps out of it. I think they've done a good job there. Looking on, Jimmy Spencer for the moment. That first lap on Loy Allen is a good one. It's 32.352, 166.914 mile-per-hour mark.
Boy, you can hear him staying in the throttle. You run way down in the corner of this racetrack. Just let it coast a little way through the center, then full throttle right back up off the corner. That little weight in the center is what's beneficial to these changes.
Loy Allen completing his second lap in the Natural Fresh car. And he gets a 168.355. He picks it up a little, 32.075 for Loy Allen. See Bodine on the pole at 177. That makes him the 5th quickest car that we've had on the racetrack thus far. Well, here comes one that could crack one. The Wood brothers, number 21, and of course for years they dominated qualifying. They put you on the pole one time for this race, and David Pearson, what, 7 or 8 times? 8 times for this race.
Ken, they used to just roll in here with that 21, and everybody said, who's going to run second? And I remember the first time I drove this race car, I practiced. You know, I really couldn't get up to the kind of speeds I needed. And like I said, let's go qualify. And we sat on the pole, and I just fell backwards. I said, man, I believe somebody out of the stands can sit on the pole in this race car.
As we watch Morgan Shepherd, let's talk to another man who is set on the pole here.
And he's won more races, Ken, than any of the other active drivers. Darrell Waltrip, how does it look for the pole for you tonight?
Well, I was a little bit surprised how quick Jeff went already, and I know there's some cars in the field that possibly are quicker than he. I don't think we're a threat for the pole. We just like to be in the top 10 if possible. That's our goal every week, just qualifying the top 10.
And you know how this guy plays it, qualify in the top 10, then just go out and eat him up on Sunday.
We can talk a bit more about that as the evening progresses, about how much that pole means or doesn't mean here. 175.041. Morgan Shepherd cracks a good one in his second lap now. That makes him second fastest overall. That moves Teddy Musgrave back into the second row. Morgan Shepherd in his first run, averaging 175 miles an hour around this 1.5-mile facility. second lap is a bit slower, 174.7. So Mark Shepard at 175, put him on the front, up there on the outside at the moment. Let's go down to Corinna Konomek.
Thanks, Ken. I'm here with Kenny Bernstein, owner of the Quaker State 26 car. And the question everybody wants answered, how's Brett's arm?
It's doing pretty good. His arm's fine. He's been real sore in the ribs and the leg, the knee. But he's doing real good compared to 2 weeks ago. Really proud of him. He's a tough little boy.
How's your season in Top Fuel going?
Oh, like you started to say, the Budweiser King, it's been tough. We've had a rough year. Eddie Hill, hats off to him. He's got the championship pretty much sewn up. Got 2 races to go, Dallas and Pomona. We're going to try to win both of them.
How about your IndyCar program?
IndyCar looks pretty good for next year. Real excited to have Scott Goodyear aboard as our driver for the next 2 years. We're moving over to Ford Cosworth engines, Lola chassis, so the stage is set. We had a disastrous year, not happy with it at all. Worked hard at it, but we got to improve quite a bit. But with Scott Goodyear coming aboard, I'm real excited.
Good luck, Kenny.
Hey, great. Great to be here.
One of the busiest and one of the nicest people in the world of motorsports. That's Kenny Bernstein. Here's Rick Wilson. He got his ribs banged up, but he's right back out here giving it a try, Neil.
I tell you what, they've been getting this car better and better every week. Rick got hurt it really hurt him up there at Dover when he messed his ribs up. And boy, a place like Charlotte, you get a test on those ribs. A lot of side force, a lot of G's.
Third quickest on that first lap, 174.684. And that banking does pull you around a little on this place, doesn't it, Neil?
Oh, yeah, the cars, even though we're talking about reducing some of this downforce with the changes, you still stick the car so good in the corner. We're talking about 175 miles. Now, you're entering the corner 180, 85, or even more, and the car just nails over on the left side and just tries to throw you out the window, and it's a lot of load on the side of your body.
Let's see what we did in that second lap on Rick Wilson. 174.769 will be his qualifying mark, and that will make him third fastest, leaving Jeff Bodine and Morgan Shepard up in front and Mark Wilson in third. Let's rejoin Corinna Konomek.
Brett Bodine here. Brett, how tough is it to get this car around the track with your arm like that?
Well, it's a little difficult. I mean, I'm not trying to kid anybody, but I just don't have the range of motion in my wrist that I'm used to. I had to change positioning of my hands on the steering wheel. You kind of like got to learn to drive the car a little bit different all over again. And, you know, it's been a little bit of a problem the couple races I have run.
Hope you get better soon.
Thanks.
Down to the line comes Rusty Wallace, set on the pole 3 times this year. A total of 15 pole positions. The Miller Pontiac bounces down in turn number 1. The 1988 winner of this race going for the pole.
And I tell you, these people are so serious about it. They came out of the race Sunday, and then they went straight to the wind tunnel in Detroit with these cars here to see. Rusty's trying to get this car with these new rule changes to see if he can really get it. He's right in the middle of that battle for the championship, and he wants to do the best as possible.
Dale Earnhardt watching. First lap on Rusty Wallace. I don't think he's going to be happy. 3:0.950, 174.4. That makes him 4th quickest, Neil.
Yeah, and we saw a couple of cars pick up the second lap. Somebody like Rusty, he's usually so aggressive and such a good driver. He usually gets the good out of that first lap, unless he bobbled a little bit. It kind of surprised me to see him come back with a quicker lap, but unless he just bobbled on that first one.
Second lap for Rusty Wallace, trying to close in on Earnhardt in that battle for the Winston Cup Championship. 174.385. That was all she had. 174.475. Qualifying speed at 30.950 for Rusty Wallace. That makes him 4th quickest, and Ted Musgrave keeps sliding back. He's to 5th. Ken Schrader looking on and getting set for his run shortly.
There's Schrader asked him, said, what was his second lap? Schrader said, I believe I can handle these guys, But he's sitting there. He knows he's got a good racehorse under him, and that thing's capable of sitting on the pole. But, boy, he's still concerned with everybody that throws a lap at him.
This is Todd Bodine out here in the factory stores Ford, coming up to speed, number 75. Todd Bodine getting ready to work for Butch Mock.
And I tell you what, you're talking about an impressive young driver. He's been real successful in the Busch Series. Butch Mock and his team has gotten together now with Todd Bodine. And I'm telling you, this guy's going to do some big stuff in Winston Cup racing.
Well, those Bodine brothers, they're everywhere, aren't they? He took over in July just after Talladega in this ride. Of course, Dick Trickle has moved on. He has the ride that Phil Parsons had for tonight. We'll get to see him in a moment. As they now line up, you have Jeff Bodine on the pole, Morgan Shepard 2nd, Rick Wilson third, Rusty Wallace shown as fourth, and here's Todd Bodine cracking one. And that's going to be the third quickest time of the night, 1:75.001 for Chemung, New York's Todd Bodine, going for more in the second lap.
We've talked about it before about using the tires a little bit that first lap. It's hard to get more because right now that engine's like a percolator in there. And the hotter that water gets, the slower the thing runs. And we've seen everybody get it to the line, and pretty well you have the motor used up.
Back to the stripe, second lap in, is a 38.96, and that's a little slower at 174. So 175.001 is the story for Todd Bodine. What's the story with Rusty Wallace? Corinna Konamaki can tell us.
Rusty, you're third quick. Are you happy with that?
Well, I'm fourth right now, it looks like. That's what they tell me. I'm not real happy with it. I think we should have been able to run a lot faster than that, but we had to change motors right there at the last minute. We got kind of rushed up pretty good. So we'll see how it goes. Sunday's the big race, and I don't know where I'll start qualifying, but we'll see.
Disappointing qualifying lap. You thought that Pontiac would go a little bit faster tonight?
That's fifth, actually. He got knocked back another one, back to fifth, and here comes DW out to make his run. Darrell Waltrip settles down, the pole sitter in 81. Now on the track. You know, Neil, not that many have set on the pole and won here. Lorenzen in 65, and old Charging Charlie in 68, Blocksback. And, of course, Pearson did it. And Darrell in 81, and here again. Sit on the pole and win this race in 1982. It ain't an easy job.
Again, anytime you come to a racetrack, there's a mile and a half facility, the kind of speed we're talking about, how much handling it takes. During the course of a 500-mile race, there's so many things that change. Speed for 1 or 2 laps, you need it right now to set on the pole. But during that race Sunday, you'll trade that speed for good handling car that stays under you all day.
Ernie Irvin, cinched up and ready to go. A 172 for Darrell Waltrip in the Western Auto car. Trying to improve on that in his second lap. That 172 would make him 7th fastest. 10 cars thus far on the track. 10. And the veteran making his 22nd start in the Mellow Yellow 500 cracks a 172.106. So call the first lap, his qualifying mark, 172.734, and that would put him into 7th position. Jeff Bodine and Morgan Shepherd for row 1, Todd Bodine and Rick Wilson in row 3. Correction, that row 2. And then in row 3, Rusty Wallace and Ted Musgrave. Car number 15 coming up to speed. Back straightaway. Here's Lake Speed out of Jackson, Mississippi in the Bud Moore Ford. Corinna Konamaki standing by. Corinne?
We're here with Todd Bodine. You ran pretty quick, Todd. How are the aerodynamic changes?
I didn't quite hear you.
How did the aerodynamic changes affect your run?
Well, you know, I'm not really sure. This is my first time in a Winston Cup car at Charlotte. We didn't even get to come test the car. They finished it up about 3 o'clock this morning, so we're real happy with the run. As far as the aerodynamics, you know, your guess is as good as mine. It kind of felt like my Busch car. You know, we're used to running high noses in there and small spoilers in the back, so maybe that gave me a little advantage of feeling more comfortable.
Todd Bodine.
How about John Andretti?
Now down into turn number 1. Here comes the number 15's time. Let's see what Lake Speed cracked. And 171.576 is the story on Lake Speed in the Bud Moore car. That's lap 1. So thus far, Jeff Bodine's 177 has stood the course. Lake Speed is 9th overall, coming back to the line to complete his second lap.
Here's Bud Moore right on top of the truck, taking a look at the watches.
172, he picked it up. Lake Speed gets a 172.701. That makes him 8th quick. New name in Winston Cup racing, and he's standing by with Dick Berkeley.
Well, Ken, John Andretti has driven just about everything that's fast. Indy cars, drag cars, now Winston Cup. Of the 3, which is the most difficult?
Well, they're all very difficult in their own ways, but this is going to take some time. It's very competitive, the series, and, you know, just out trying to have a good time and run as fast as we can in Billy Hagan's race car.
So that's the story from John Andretti tonight as he gets a crack at Charlotte for the first time. On the speedway is Bobby Labonte in that Bill Davis Ford. Tim Brewer, the crew chief. Tim's had some fortunate times here working with Junior Johnson in the past, had some very good runs with cars that have won this race. And, of course, Bobby Labonte has just got stronger all season long, Neil.
I think that's the key. The last half of the season really seems to come together. The first half, they kind of struggle. But as they make it back around to each one of these racetracks in, this team has really picked up the pace.
First lap on Bobby Labonte. 1:3.67, 72. And that'll make him, what, 9th quickest in that first lap.
Yeah, that second lap has been a turn really shot up the racetrack. The car got to get out from under him.
Second in the rookie standings currently. Maxwell House, number 22, coming about. Down out of 4. Creeps right up against the wall. And on the shutdown, a 31.557. That backs it up a mile an hour. So leave the 172.155. Puts him 9th quickest. Let's take a look at the standings now after 12 cars have made an attempt at qualifying. There you are, Bodine and Shepard up in front. Bodine and Wilson in row 2. Rusty Wallace is right there for row 3 with Ted Musgrave. More from Charlotte in a moment. In 5th quickest. Here's a guy that could put it right on the pole. Coming to the stripe, number 25, Ken Schrader.
He should have the question answered. Just before him, Bickle went out and ran a real fast lap. We heard Schrader just a little ago said maybe that oil on the track didn't slow it down. It hasn't hurt the racetrack. If Schrader can do it, he's got to do it right now.
6 times he has set on the pole this year, including for the 600 here in May. Here comes Schrader on his first lap.
Good line off turn 4. Hendricks Motor with a lot of power. Real fast here.
And he's going to take only 1 lap and shut it off. 1:77.003, second quickest. Schrader, second quickest. Let's go down to Corinna Konamaki for a moment.
Ken, we've got Darrell Waltrip here who wasn't too happy with his qualifying run. What changes will you make before Sunday?
Well, we may change everything. we seem like we've got a car that's consistent, but it's not very fast. This car is not a good qualifier, but I hope it'll be good for the race. We're not going to change a whole lot. That's pretty much where we are. And we'll put a race engine in. This is a practice engine. We'll put a race engine in and get settled down and see what happens. It's going to be interesting with the changes that have been made on the car. The spoiler is going to really hurt us in the race.
Darrell Waltrip, 9th overall in the standings thus far. On the track, Ernie Irvin settles down below the line, really down, as he takes the Robert Yates car through its paces. Ernie Irvin, who has 4 pole positions this year. A lot on the short tracks, Dover, Daytona, not a short track, but Martinsville and North Wilkesboro most recently with Robert Yates. Ken Schrader, we'll get a word from him in just a moment, going for his 3rd straight pole. Here comes Ernie Irvin to the line. 1 lap only. He's done it. 34.24, 177.491, and Ernie Irvin, in what was the Davey Allison ride, has gone onto the pole for the moment here at Charlotte. Great run. 1 lap and he cranked it down. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, Michael Waltrip is qualified as high as 2nd here. Michael, how about tonight?
Well, we feel real good about it. The Pinto Pontiac's been running okay. NASCAR changed the rules on us, but the old rules help the Pontiac. These new ones hurt us more than anybody. So we're really good tonight. I want to dedicate this weekend to Chuck Ryder's father, Charles Ryder. We're thinking of him.
On the speedway is number 71, Dave Marcus, the longtime veteran. He's settling down with his 25th start, being faced with a 500. Dave Marcus. Now he is the elder statesman of this game.
This race, we'd like to see him run well here. Dave is really worked hard to stay in this Winston Cup racing. It's tough without that big sponsor.
You work hard. A respectable 170 plus for Dave Marcus. That makes him 15th fastest thus far. A lot of cars still to come. Ernie Irvin, for the moment, has that front running position. Schrader is in second, and he's still trapped in his car by the press. We'll be getting a word from him shortly. And hopefully from Ken Schrader. Second quickest. Dave Marcus in his second lap. Trying to better a 170, goes the other way. So 170, 250, good for 15th position is where he is. And with what's still in store, that'll have trouble staying in the top 20. Top 20 being decided as well as the pole position here at Charlotte.
Again, let me tell you what's critical, though, in our qualifying like this. Tonight, you want to go fast because you got to stand on tomorrow. It's going to be hot.
Here's Corinna Economaki.
Ken, we're with Ernie Irvan. Give him a minute here.
Somebody beats that, then more power to him, because that was all I wanted to do.
You really feel at home in this car now, don't you, Ernie? You just settle right in so quickly.
Well, I tell you, these guys make you feel at home. You know, all the people at Texaco, Haviland, and Ford, and everybody at Robert Yates Racing has just been really good to me.
So there's Ernie Irvan talking to everybody, and of course that's the way it is when you end up on the pole. That's the man of the moment, but that could change, and change quickly. There's a lot of new names, a lot of regular runners who could give it a real go to take that pole position away.
Yeah, Ken, one thing I was touching on, we went away to go to Ernie right then. It's critical if you qualify on the pole here or 28 to get that good lap in tonight in cool weather, and then tomorrow you'll stand on your time because there's no way to run any faster tomorrow and re-qualifying than it is in this cool weather. So it's critical getting a good lap in tonight.
There's Wally Dallenbach with a 172 plus in the Keystone car for Jack Roush. He moving on to another team next year. Trying to give it a good solid run here tonight. I see those sparks just flickering off the back of that car. It's not as smooth as it looks in the night qualifying. Indication of that.
All the years we've raced here, go down the corner and they said, how's the car feel? I'm just barely clicking the pipes down in turn one. I've told them about 1,000,000 times. Got a race tonight, it probably scared all of us to death.
So lap number one is the quick one for Wally Dallenbach at 172.833. 172.833, and there you see the congregation over there around Ernie Irvan, who for the moment has the pole about 2 miles an hour slower than what we had with Alan Kowicki last year, 179 plus, just barely.
There's Robert Yates steering the car. He's going to push it over there. Now NASCAR is going to impound it again. And if they should set on pole, they'll take that thing apart and look at it.
Here's Dick Bergen.
Well, Jared, given all the changes they've made to these cars, are you not surprised they're not running slower? They're really quick tonight.
Yeah, they are, but I think there's a couple of things that contribute to that factor. First of all, what they've taken away in the corners as far as downforce, you gain back on the straightaway with the smaller spoiler, so we don't have as much drag there. You just lose a little bit in the corner. Goodyear has such a good tire that you don't lose all that much qualifying, especially at night. Come Sunday during the race, it'll be a totally different story.
18th different car is now on the track. Michael Waltrip completes his first lap in the Pennzoil Pontiac. And his speed goes to 174. Good run for Michael. 174, 514. Guess that would be 8th. And guess about it. That is 8th for the moment.
I keep hearing all these drivers talk about qualifying. Then in the next sentence they say, boy, if I say, oh, walking real high. Got really high up at 3 and 4, right up by the wall. But I think in the back of their mind, this qualifying is fine, but they're concerned about Sunday, the stability of the cars.
So Michael Waltrip shuts it off after a second lap that is slower, and the 174, 514, way down, 3 mile an hour short. So give that first lap to Michael Waltrip, place him in 8th position, and you have Ernie Irvan, Jeff Bodine for row 1, Ken Schrader, Morgan Shepherd in row 2, Todd Bodine and Rick Wilson in row 3, followed by Rich Bickle and then Michael Waltrip. More in a moment. Down on the track, and we're watching Dick Trickle out here for the moment, and he gets a 173.768 in lap number 1. Pretty good mark for him, 11th quickest. Mannheim car at 173.768. Write that one down for that Chevy, entered by Larry Hedrick, and get ready for John Andretti's first performance on this track. carrying the number 72 that's pretty familiar for a lot of years with Benny Parsons at the controls.
We touched on it a while ago. John Andretti's been driving a little bit of everything. He's driven the Indy cars, then he got in the top fuel cars with the 300-mile-an-hour cars, and here he's trying the Winston Cup stuff. I think he's wanting to try to work in this direction.
10th in this year's Indy 500, and he won that season opener for Indy cars in Australia. Here are the Winston pole night standings at the present time. There you see the top 5, and going a little further back, there's Michael Waltrip in 8th, then Rusty Wallace in 9th. Ted Musgrave is in 10th, followed by Trickle, Dollenbach, Darrell, Lake Speed, and Bobby Labonte to 15th. With 19 cars. Here's Corinna Economac.
And congratulations, Ernie. How important is the pole here at Charlotte?
Well, if we get it, it's going to be real important. You know, it'll be 3 in a row for us, and just the prestige of being on the pole here at Charlotte, it means a lot. Plus, you know, it's Wednesday. We don't race till Sunday, so, you know, that's what we're out here for, is to get advertisements for Texaco, Haviland, and Ford, and no better way to do it.
Will you make any changes to the car between now and then?
Well, who knows? You know, when we get out there racing and practice, drafting, and things like that, we'll know what we need to do to the car then.
Thanks, Ernie. Good luck.
Watching that second lap completed on John Andretti. And let's see what he registered in that last run. 171 will not get it. 172, 199 makes him 15th quickest thus far. And we've had 20 cars on the track, which means bumping will now begin. Loy Allen's time of 168.355 will be challenged. That's the 20th position. And Greg Sachs, out of Mattituck, New York, car number 68, the Ford Thunderbird, entered by George Bradshaw, is the first challenger.
I'll tell you what, while we got a little time, let's go down to Dick Bergman, who's Earnhardt's crew chief, and let's see what they got in up their sleeve.
Look at the usual jacket up their sleeve. This doesn't say Goodwrench. I don't know which race team the Braves are, but Andy Petrie, you brought the same car that won here in the spring. How will it qualify tonight?
Well, we're optimistic. We had a good run in practice, and, you know, the conditions are a little different right now. It should be a little faster. You know, hopefully it'll be good. You know, these guys from the Braves sent us up some good luck charms from down in Atlanta. We're wishing them a lot of luck tonight, you know, and I hope they bring us good luck here, too.
Deep in the point race.
There's the 68 out there. Dennis Conner has taken over as crew chief. Remember, he was with Tim Richmond years back, hoping to get a little more speed up for Greg Sachs as he tries to take Loy Allen out of the top 20. And boy, does he do it in a big way. Take a look at this, 30.584, 176 plus miles an hour. That's 4th place.
I'm
not sure if it's Dennis Conner or what is, but that's an incredible run for the Country Time car. Greg Sachs qualifies 4th at the moment. 21st car on the track. That will bump Loy Allen into attempting qualifying later this week. Second lap is a 30.679. It comes down a bit. 176.016, not that much. 176.5 puts Schrader 3rd and Sachs on the outside of row 2 at this moment. Working on Bobby Labonte here.
Yeah, they take them back to the garage. They're jacking up. They're fixing to take the engine out. They had a qualifying engine in that car. Hey, they're through with it. They're fixing to put another motor in to practice, and they'll practice like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then they'll put them another motor in there for Sunday. So it takes 3 engines. There's Tim Brewer. There's Tim Brewer right there.
On the speedway, ready to attempt qualifying, Kenny Wallace, Pontiac for Felix Savetis, the St. Louis driver. Trying to bump Dave Marcus, who's 170.250, is the tail end of the top 20 at this moment.
We're talking about those guys putting motors in and stuff. Ken, it's amazing when you come to track this early in the week, how much equipment you can go through. You know, they're allowed 3 sets of tires prior to practice, so 1 set of you to qualify. So they're on the 3rd set of tires, and it's going to take you 3 motors to get to Sunday at its best.
Slap on Kenny Wallace as he heads down into that 24-degree banking. Turns 1 and 2. 171.987 will just barely do it. Makes him 18th quickest at 31.398. 18th quickest, but it does bump another man out of the field, Dave Marcus. He'll have to either sit on his time or attempt to requalify.
can to explain to people what you can do. You have an option. If they requalify tomorrow, you say, I stand on my time. I'm going to take the time I turned last night if you don't think you can turn a better time. So more than likely, most of these people will stand on their time unless they have a problem.
Second lap was slower on Kenny Wallace, so mark the 171.9, 18th quickest as his lap of qualifying. Here's Corinna Economaki.
I'm here with Greg Sachs. You ran pretty quick. Could you have gone any faster?
Well, I'll tell you, we didn't run quite that fast in practice, but we knew the track was picking up, that the speeds were going down. And, you know, the first lap, my crew chief gave me the lap speed over the radio, and I knew I hit a perfect lap, that I couldn't do better, but it was so close to the front, I had to take a second lap to try and better it, and it was about a tenth slower, but, you know, I didn't want to leave anything on the table. I wanted to get everything we could out of our country time forward. I believe we did that, and it's not the pole, but it's a good starting spot. We look forward to Sunday.
Thanks, Greg. Over to Dick.
Well, I've asked a fellow who knows all about the intensity of qualifying here. Felix Sabatas, you prepared to pay the bills on 2 cars for running here. How expensive is it to prepare for pole night at Charlotte?
You know, Charlotte's one of the premier tracks in the world, so we all work very hard on it. We came out here with 4 different motors. You figure a motor costs you $40,000 a piece. We tested 4 motors on each car, so that's 8 motors. So you figured it out. We probably spent $150,000 in real dollars trying to qualify on the pole here.
And it pays $17,500 to win the pole.
There's something in those economics that, hello, Neil.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I'm not going to question Felix Sabatas. He came over here from Cuba with $25 about 10 years ago. I believe I'll go along with him on his business sense.
Rick Mast has just bumped Andy Hillenberg out of the top 20. His lap at 174.684 made him the 8th quickest overall. 8th quickest for Rick Mast, who now completes that second lap. Wow. This looks like a good one as they roll that Bobby Hamilton car back in. Rick Mast in that second lap at 175.724. That places Rick Mast 5th on the inside of row 3, flanked by Morgan Shepherd for the moment. Rick Mast in car number 1, the UST car, finds itself a very good place, and that won't get bumped out of here. It'll be harbored in the top 10 probably all the way through the rest of this qualifying period. Great run for Rick Mast out of Rockbridge, Baths, Virginia. Well, here's the defending Daytona 500 champion, the Joe Gibbs car. Seems funny to have a football season start and have Joe Gibbs not on the sidelines, but he is on the sidelines right here tonight. You saw him down there on top of one of the transporters, watching his driver, Dale Jarrett, trying to get it done. Car number 18 goes to work.
We saw him get in turn 1. We saw the sparks fly off his car just like it does everyone else. These cars have a tremendous amount of shocking built on them. The shocks are really strong, a lot of spring on the car, but at that speed, you just compress the entire chassis so much, there's no way to hold it up without it bottoming out like that.
Currently 3rd in Winston Cup standings, behind Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace. Joe Gibbs looking on here. First lap in is not good enough. Will not make the top 20. 171, 172, that's like 21st or 22nd. Doesn't do it. Needs more in that second lap. Not like the Redskins are doing. 1 and 3.
No, and you know, we've just heard them before. We've heard one of the drivers say that they got the radio helmets on and they're telling their lap times. Jarrett knew he didn't have the one he needs, so he's going to see if he can pull it out now.
Second lap on Dale Jarrett is a 170.095, and he fails to qualify. He'll have to give it another shot. 170.095 for Jarrett. And so for the moment, Ernie Irvin and Jeff Bodine are in row 1 for the Mellow Yellow 500 this Sunday here at Charlotte. More in a moment. Venturini, ARCA champion. Here's where we are now. Ernie Irvin and Jeff Bodine for row 1, Schrader and Sachs row 2. It would be Rick Mast in row 3, along with Morgan Shepherd, followed by Todd Bodine and Rick Wilson, and then Rick Bickle and Michael Waltrip in row 5. And further back, you've got Wallace and Musgrave for row 6, Trickle and Dallenbach in row 7, and in row 8, you see Lake Speed on the outside of that row. And there's the John Andretti name up there in 17th, Bobby Labonte, and the rest of them are Stanbridge and Kenny Wallace. Wallace, we just saw there with Jeff Hammond in 19th position. Billy Stanbridge, 20th, being challenged right now. Stanbridge's time is 171.6 6.95, and as the first lap is complete on the Stavola brothers car, Sterling Marlin gets a 31.291, and that will just barely take Stanbridge out of there to make Sterling 17th fastest. Going for a little more here, trying to move up that board, that starting grid. The Ray Vestas car. Sterling Marlin, second lap. Oh, 172.7.
Okay, let's go down to Dick Berger. He's got Jeff Gordon. He's coming up later. We'll see what he can do with it.
Well, Neil, last spring, Jeff Gordon brought a great car. I mean, a terrific car here to Charlotte. But the week before the 600, they crashed it. And for the rest of the time here, they complained bitterly about the fact that they didn't have their best car. We only had the best car. We could do a lot better. Well, the best car is back. Now, how good's the driver?
Well, car's been great all day long. We got a new body on it and a whole lot of different things. So we'll just have to see how good the car is tonight and how good the driver is. But I think we've got a shot at it. This car has been faster than what the pole is right now, so we've got a shot at it.
And he is a good driver. Corinna Economaki.
Yeah, we tried to talk to Dale Jarrett, but he was so disappointed after his qualifying run, he went back to his hauler. Maybe tomorrow.
Sterling Marlin finished up in 16th, Corinne, and now we have T.W. Taylor out on the track. Sterling Marlin took the Stanbridge name off the top 20 and left Kenny Wallace on the bottom side. Kenny Wallace at 171.985 has been the 20th fastest. Here's T.W. Taylor out of Virginia.
You know, we just saw Kenny Wallace and Jeff Hammond talking a while ago, and they might have been talking, hey, we're coming up on the bubble, and they know there's enough good cars out there. They got a real, it looks grim to get in tonight. One car between them, they could possibly get bumped here real quick.
Like Kyle Petty and Hut Strickland coming up next. Joe Nemechek yet to come. Then Bill Elliott, Jeff Gordon in the lineup. And down toward the end, there's some pretty impressive names. Ricky Rudd will be coming out dead last. Mark Martin will be coming out third from the last tonight. 167 doesn't do it, nor 168 for T.W. Taylor. He'll have to try again. So for the moment, Kenny Wallace stays right there at 171.9 as the 20th quickest.
And you know what's going to be unique right here? He's sitting there in 20th place, and here comes his teammate out. Well, here we are. Look at him changing engine. We told him he's pulling the motors out there. Qualify these cars. All these teams, first thing they do, they bring them out of there and stick a new one in.
Wallace team doing some work as Kyle Petty brings the Felix Savetas mellow yellow car out.
And that's what I was going to say. This is the teammate of the guy that's on the bubble. Felix Savetas said he put 4 motors in this car and 4 in the other one. This car right here's got a good chance of knocking his other car out of the race tonight.
Pontiac taking green.
You know, I was watching those guys change engines. And everybody says, how can I get on a Winston Cup crew? Well, let me tell you, folks, they got here 6:30 this morning. They opened the gate, and they're in there still working, changing engines in these cars. They put in a lot of hours in these race cars. Look how low Kyle always runs low. See how much lower he is than most of the cars? When he gets that car hooked up in the bottom of this racetrack, maybe not the pole, but let me tell you, during the race, he's tough.
Hasn't won a pole since the season opener back at Daytona. I don't think he did it there. Let's see. 31.193. 173 would make him the 14th fastest. And that moves Kenny Wallace out of the top 20. Less than a second separates the top 20 at this time, and now it just shrinks closer and closer. Kyle Petty, 14th fastest. Still going for it in lap 2. Second lap is a 31.260, 172.745. So keep that 173 for Kyle Petty's mark and give him 14th for the moment.
Yeah, let's go down to Dick Berger. He's with a guy that thinks he's got a shot at the pole.
And I'm with a guy who everybody is watching right now, Neil Bonnet. Dale Earnhardt, how good is this thing? Have you got a shot at the pole?
I think so. We ran 50s and 60s in practice, and, I think we'll be okay. We're going to give it all we got.
You be guaranteed of that.
Earnhardt ready to give it a shot. He only has 2 poles this year, one on a road course and one at Talladega. Some of the crowd around that number 3 as the Junior Johnson, number 27, for McDonald's, gets a run at T-Bird. with Hut Strickland at the controls. Takes over on the 1.5 miles for a 5-mile jaunt. Maybe less if he gets a good first lap.
Well, they need to get a good race in here. They've had a lot of bad luck this last month, and they need to get qualified well.
Trying to take Bobby Labonte, 172.155 out of the top 20, and does so. Bobby Labonte is passed by Hut Strickland. Strickland at 174.227 mile per hour average, 12th quickest. So Bobby Labonte will either sit on his time or re-qualify, and Hut Strickland having a very good first lap, trying to get a little more here. Whoa, what a handful.
Yeah, I tell you what, he's having to wrestle the car around just a little bit. I mean, you got to set up on the edge of that seat and get everything you can. It's critical qualifying here with this new type of cars.
Slower in the second lap, so the first lap at 174.227 would make Hut Strickland outside of row 6 for the Mellow Yellow 500 this Sunday. But there's still some challengers out here going for the record of 179, and for Ernie Irvin, who currently sits on the pole. Tomorrow night, live from Charlotte, North Carolina, Prime brings you This Week in NASCAR. It's the veteran driver, Dick Trickle, the guest of Eli Gold, bringing you up to date on all the latest NASCAR news. That's live tomorrow night, 11 p.m. Eastern, on most Prime affiliates. For the moment, on the speedway is Joe Nemechek taking over for the Morgan McClure ride here. Norm Benning just took a run. 158, that's the slowest time that's been recorded. 30 cars thus far have been on the track. Let's see what the man who currently is third in the Grand National standings, taking a step up into Winston Cup racing, is going to do with a car that is always strong.
You know, when we talked to Joe about what he planned to do if he's going to run this car more, he's got several options. They were looking at running their own Winston Cup team. He's had offers from some of the top teams. And he really doesn't want to run but 2 Winston Cup races the remainder of this season, stay eligible for next year. Here's Felix Sabanas back talking to Rusty Wallace and some of the crew members there.
Wonder what Roger Penske thinks of those pictures.
He's not too close.
Here's the first lap on Joe Nemechek. Wow, 37.25, and that's 175.753. Brett Pittman went to the drawer on that one and pulled out some pieces for the motor in that car tonight. That's the 5th fastest time that's been recorded. Joe Nemechek. John Andretti is taken out, and they're happy up there on top of his transporter. Lake Speed is now on the bubble. John Andretti to requalify. Lake Speed at 172.701. And after that run, he cuts it off, and Joe Nemechek, the Floridian, brings it back on pit road.
Let's go down to Dick Berger, and he's down with Harry Gant.
And we're going to keep a real close eye on Harry Gant. From what I hear, we're not going to get much of more chance to see you race. Are you really going to quit at the end of '94?
Yeah, at the end of the '94 season, I'm going to, quit Winston Cup and the Boost Series.
What will you do with your time?
Well, I got a lot to do. I've done this here a long time now, and since 1965 when I first started, and I'm ready to do something different. I'll go back to what I was doing before.
And Robert Presley's going to get the ride, and guess who his teacher's going to be?
I would probably say Harry Gant.
You bet. All right, here's Corinna Conomac.
Ken, we've got Joe Nemechek here.
Well, I don't know what to say. The Kodak Chevrolet, the Morgan McClure crew, everybody's working really hard. I'm just honored they gave me the opportunity to come out here. This is a great car. In the past, this thing has won races. It's been in the front here, and I'm just doing the best I can. This is my first time here at Charlotte in the Cup car. I'm getting experience, and I'm enjoying it. I'm smiling. I'm happy, and I'm just glad to be here.
Joe Nemechek earning a name.
Joe Nemechek has pulled off a 5th place thus far. Joe Nemechek with a very good ride. Bill Elliott's getting ready to come on. Jim Sauter in his Ford Thunderbird is on the speedway. And a correction on that. I think we have Rodney Combs out in what was to be his ride. Sauter is not in the car. It is Sauter. Showing Rodney Combs from NASCAR, and that's incorrect. It is Sauter in the number 85 and not Rodney Combs. It's a good run. It's a 173.305. That will knock Lake Speed out of the top 20 and put Sterling Marlin on the bubble at 172.728 miles per hour. Rodney Combs' run, and the number 85 was 16th quickest. Here's Elliott, second Junior Johnson car.
Well, this guy virtually ruled Charlotte for years. When he rolled in there, he was the man you had to beat. If they can get this thing up to speed, Elliott will be a threat for the pole and certainly for the race. They've been stumping their toe just a little bit, and they're certainly looking to break out and win some races.
Two-time winner of this race, Bill Elliott, underway. Set on the pole in '89.
See Elliott run that low line through there. Bill used to have an extremely good line through 3 and 4. I say used to, he still does. He said he watched on the truck and watched David Pearson, how he learned to get through 3 and 4 good, and Pearson was the master of this place for years. Coming down the line, complete first lap.
This looks like a good one. 30.570. That's fourth fastest. Fourth quickest for Bill Elliott, and he's still in it. Bumps Sterling Marlin, puts Darrell Waltrip on the bubble. Bill Elliott, fourth quickest, going for more.
Going to try to run that second lap. We've seen a couple of guys squeeze a good lap out the second one, but usually that first one's going to be the best thing you have.
Outside of the second row, currently Elliott, and the second lap is slower. But that first lap was a crackerjack. Bill Elliott at 176.644 takes over fourth, puts Darrell Waltrip in jeopardy of having to come out and try it again. 172.7 is Waltrip's mark. Here's Earnhardt getting ready for his run. And remember, way late in the going, we'll see Mark Martin and Ricky Rudd. Just before them, Brett Bodine will be out. Some real stout names at the very end of this qualifying period.
This is the team car right here. Ken Schrader, the guy with the fastest Chevrolet in the field right now. Jeff Gordon's got a team car, and before he wrecked that car last year, he had the fastest GM car at the track. So he got it back under him again. You know, it's amazing to come to a rookie like this, and you say, man, he's got a shot at the pole. He's got a shot at the pole. This young guy here, once he got into Winston Cup racing, he's been full bore and made a lot of good accomplishments.
Second to Earnhardt here in May. What a grand race that was for him. Looks like a pretty good lap. Hold the phone. 30.391. You have a new pole sitter. 177.684. 22-year-old Jeff Gordon has just taken over the top spot for the Mellow Yellow 500 Sunday. Ernie Irvin relegated to second with that one and only lap by the youngster from Pittsburgh, Indiana.
Let me tell you, when you're driving a car, you know it's that good. There's not anything left on the table. Best thing to do is come down the track, get out, and see if you sat on the pole. Got all he could that first lap.
Ray Eberhand and company will be getting a word from the man who now sits on the pole, Jeff Gordon. That was 73. Here we are in 93. And coming to the stripe, Jackson Brothers Racing car number 33. His career really turned around when he won that. This was the Hal Needham Burt Reynolds car in 82 from the pole. Last man to win it from the pole, Harry Gant.
I tell you, with these new rule changes, come Sunday, Gant will be one of the guys you might have to contend with. He'll chase the car all over the racetrack, but he'll find him a place that'll run.
So we were talking about the fact that the pole, particularly with these changes that have been affected by NASCAR, could change the whole thing out. It's going to be a lot more of a driver's race, and that sure would favor a guy like Ray.
Yeah, I think the guys that look good lap for Gant, 30.8.
A driver's driver, this one. 175 would make him a ninth quickest for the moment. 175.097. That bumps Kyle Petty, and that'll put Jimmy Sauter on the bubble at 173.305. $175.387 for Gant.
I tell you, let's go down to Dick Berger, and he's with the driver that's going to have one of the last shots to knock the guys off the pole.
Yeah, you've watched everybody, Ricky Rudd. Here you are all the way at the back of the line. What do you make of it?
Well, I think it's a good place to be. I think it's cooling down. I think it should be hopefully an advantage. And, you know, we got a real good legitimate shot at this thing. We were very quick in practice, and we just hope this Tide machine likes the nighttime air.
Well, they're up and cheering or jeering, but they're up and doing something when Dale Earnhardt takes to the track. He's never started in the front row at Charlotte in either the 500 or the 600.
Maybe he's trying a new approach. He went through the dirt. He made a pass in the grass here. Back that time, he clipped the dirt. Real low on the racetrack.
Charlotte meaning so much in his career. Back in the late 70s, came in here in that 300-mile race on Saturday. Had a great battle with Bobby Allison, wound up second. The Winston Cup ride down the road.
Working that steering wheel a lot right through that corner.
Earnhardt with a very good lap, qualifying lap, 176.2. That's seventh fastest. That bumps Jim Sauter, 176.2 inside of the fourth row.
Second lap. It'll be hard to pick up the difference for the pole right here. Slower that lap. A lot of water coming out of the back.
If they were to start now, Earnhardt would be in the 7th position, Rusty Wallace in the 16th. There's the man that for the moment has the pole position, the youngster, Jeff Gordon. Can he stay there? Stay with us. We'll find out. Speedway, pole position qualifying night. Here you see Jeremy Mayfield on the track. Jeff McClure took a shot at getting into the top 20. Missed it by a couple of spots with a lap at 171. Mayfield's Ford, owned by Earl Sadler out of Nashville, Tennessee, giving it a run. And there you see Mark Martin looking up, checking those times, getting ready to be the last man out. And that's about 10 away. Dale Earnhardt still in his car. 10 to go before we'll see Mark Martin give it a run. H.B. Bailey out of Houston, Texas is on the track. He'll have trouble cracking that 173 barrier that is Bobby Hamilton's mark. 173.578 is the 20th position. 177.634 is the pole. Here's Corinne.
Dale. Here with Dale Earnhardt with his Braves jacket on. You have a new allegiance there to a baseball team?
I followed them longer than this year.
You happy?
For a long time.
Happy with your run?
Not really.
What are you going to do? What are you going to change to the car?
I'm going to win the race Sunday. We got a good race set up. Couldn't run a lap like I wanted to, but yeah, we run pretty good, and we're in the top 10 or so right now.
So, Earnhardt not happy with tonight, but looking forward to Sunday. And perhaps another victory. We'll know on Sunday. Tried to bump Bobby Hamilton, didn't make it. As you see them getting out the night shirts for those cars that are being put to rest over there in the garage area. Work continuing on Rusty Wallace with a motor change. And let's go down and find out about the man who's going to start dead last here tonight and try to take that pole for sure, Mark Martin.
Well, almost. There are a couple of cars behind him, Ken. How high have you got the wick turned up on this thing tonight, Mark?
It's about the same as every week. You know, we put 100% effort out every week in this Valvoline team, and we're trying hard, but we try hard every week.
Well, they try as hard as they did in 91. They'll be all set. They won the pole for both races here in 1991.
Let me clarify one thing. That Mark Martin will run not last. Rudd will run last. Third from last is what we're going to see Mark come out. Here's Terry Labonte. And trying to beat Bobby Hamilton's 173. 7/10 of a second, Neil, separates first and 20th. This field has not loosened up. It's tightened up from a year ago. Consider.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this night racing like this, the tires are sticking, just like talking about the spoilers, are going to show up in the race, not in 2 laps of qualifying. If anything, straightaway speeds up a little bit. We're going to see the race speed on hot tires on that spoiler. You're going to be missing it. You're going to need it.
Kellogg's Chevrolet of Billy Hagan gets a lap at 174. That's 17th quickest, 174.3. Bumps Bobby Hamilton and put Dick Trickle in that Butch Mock prepared motor, 173.7. Now in jeopardy.
You know, Labonte's out running now. The last month to 6 weeks, they've really had their team pick up the pace. He's had some good finishes and really getting involved in up front of the races.
Well, slower in the second lap, so mark the 174.3 as Bobby Labonte's qualifying mark for the Mellow Yellow 500. Place him in 17th and get ready for the sparks to fly off several other top runners. Teague in car number 99. Ralph Ball machine, the traffic engineering Chevy, has made a stab at making the field and ended up 37. That's a try-again situation for him. So following Brad, we're going to see Derek Koch come out here in the Cale Yarborough car next. See if he can make the top 20. If he does, he has to bounce Dick Trickle at 173, 763 out of the field, and that's getting tougher to do.
Yeah, I tell you what, you know, a lot of times going real late makes a lot of difference, but it's so cool out there now, the best car is going to settle the pole. I don't think there's a lot of advantage going any later than this. We got some heavy hitters coming up by the next 4 or 5 cars.
Bojangles, number 98 for Cale Yarborough's team, now on the speedway. And here's Derek Koch, ready to put that Ford around this 1.5-mile track. Up on that 24-degree banking, headed down the back straightaway. Just 1,300 feet long, and that's where you really pinch him going into turn number 3. Front straightaway is about 1,900 feet long. What a difference it makes as far as overall speed is concerned going into the first turn here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what a difference it makes to that motor. One side of the racetrack, it gets a pretty hard run. The next one, it slings its guts out, turning that extra RPM running off in that corner.
Derek Koch with a very good run, 30.805. That's a 175.296. 11th quickest time. Bumps Dick Trickle and puts Ted Musgrave's 173.784 in jeopardy.
See what was in jeopardy? That lap he ran before, coming off this turn here, turn 4, he really flirted with that wall.
Stuck it right on the wall.
Got a good lap out of it, though. He really flirted with the wall. Hard run off there.
Whenever you see them run like that, it reminds you of Richmond, doesn't it?
Yeah, Richmond. Knocking the dust off that wall coming off 4.
175.296, the qualifying mark. And he hung it all the way out up here in turn number 4, Derek Koch. And it makes him 11th quickest. Ted Musgrave is now the 20th qualifier at 173.784, his mark. If he gets bounced, that'll get us up to the 174-mile-an-hour bracket on the tail end of the top 20.
This team right here, Bobby Allison team with Spencer aboard in the car 12. They got a good shot at getting a nice lap in. They ran some good practice laps.
Jimmy Spencer's not setting the pole, but Bobby Allison did on occasion here. And here's the Meineke T-Bird, number 12, as Jimmy makes his 5th start for this race. And that difference between first and 20th is now down to a .68 and closing. Jimmy Spencer looking to crack the top 20 right here. He's got to do better than 173.784 to get it together.
Didn't do it.
31.2 is not going to do it. A 172.9, and that's a lot of speed to pick up in the second lap to take Musgrave's 173 off the board.
Seems to be getting the car down in the corner good.
Hardly lifted there going in at all.
It just takes, just like Jeff Gordon, the guy that's on the pole right now, he said it just takes that perfect lap when you go out there.
That's a much better lap. Whoa, hold on, 30.827. Well, there's the jump, 175, 171. That projects him up into the 12th position. How about that? First time we've seen that tonight. A dramatic change in the second lap.
We've seen some of them pick it up a little bit, but nothing at all like this. Spencer either bobbled that first lap or really dug down deep to get that second one that much quicker.
Great lap by Jimmy Spencer. 175.171 puts him on the outside of the 6th row. It bumps Musgrave, and now the man to be challenged is Hut Strickland. He qualified at 174.227, and that may not stand up. The Bernstein car with Brett Bodine, the Quaker State car, comes to the line.
I tell you, Brett Bodine is really a good qualifier. Not necessarily he's been on the pole, we saw there 5 times, but let me tell you, he's always up front. If he gets the right kind of lap, he can put a big number up here. I don't know if that hurt him. We saw a lot of sparks out of that car as he went in that corner a little bit too much. The car shoots up the track, knocks and strips some speed off.
Driving hurt, but driving well, Brett Bodine. Takes one lap and brings it in. And it's good enough. It's an 8th place on the board for the starting grid. 176.142 for Brett Bodine. And here comes Mark Martin.
Yeah, tell you what, this is right here. You've got a legitimate shot at the pole. Mark knows what it takes to settle the pole here in Charlotte. Just a matter, can you rear back and put that kind of lap time right now?
So Brett Bodine is in it. He's up to 8. Cherry Labonte, the Kellogg car, 74.3 is being challenged. And so is the entire top 20. This can be for the pole. Jeff Gordon is there at 177.6. And Mark Martin is trying to take it away.
Spencer, Jimmy, your second lap was better than your first. How do you explain that? Nobody else did that.
Our car was too tight. We made a mistake in practice here this afternoon and thought we were going to do the right thing. We did the wrong thing. You know, we still ran a pretty good lap, but the first lap was one that was going to count, and the second one was faster because the car was a little bit too snug, and the car would have went faster than the third lap, believe it or not, but we just made a mistake. But the Meineke car's running good, you know. We coming off some real good runs at Dover and Martinsville, and just looking forward to the 600. Well, not the 600, but the 500.
First lap on Mark Martin in car number 6 will not get the pole. A 176.476 would make it 7th fastest out there, Neil.
Yeah, you know, Mark really gets after a car. He doesn't leave anything to lap. It surprised me to see him come back any quicker because, I mean, he stays on top of that race car.
Seeking his 5th pole position of the year. Jack Roush looking on. Second lap coming up on Mark Martin is a 175.9. And guess who's on the bubble? How about Rusty Wallace? They've moved Terry Labonte out of the top 20. So, after 4 pole positions, it won't happen this time for Mark Martin, but will it happen with Ricky Rudd? We're going to find out shortly. Stay with us. Parrott up on top of his Caravan. His driver on the hot seat, Rusty Wallace, in 20th position at 174. Mike Wallace just took a shot at his brother, missed by 2 miles an hour at a 172, but here's the one who could turn it around. Ricky Rudd coming out with car number 5, the last car to attempt qualifying for the Mellow Yellow 500 this Sunday at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, you know, got Jeff Gordon on the pole. This is the teammate. This is another Hendricks car. So you know the engine-wise, he's got the capabilities. Just have to see, Rudd's really been running good lately.
Wallace being challenged. 174.475 is the 20th position. We're taking 20 tonight if you're just joining us. Jeff Gordon is on the pole. He's done a 177.684 for the top spot. Rudd out of 4 on the 1.5 miles. First lap will take Wallace out of the top 20, but it will not take the pole. It's a 176.217. That's an 8th place. And Jeff Gordon, the rookie, is going to be on the pole for the Mellow Yellow 500. That's the first time since 1981 that 2 rookie drivers have won poles in their freshman year. Bobby Labonte did it up at Richmond.
Oh, he's not
and
going
now
anywhere.
Jeff Gordon has accomplished same. Back in '81, there were 3 rookies, Shepard and Ron Bouchard, and a guy named Mark Martin, who pulled that off. Rudd does not take the second lap. Brings it right back onto pit road. He is 8th quickest at this time. That will finish it. Big time for Jeff Gordon. Let's go to Mark Martin.
Mark, how was your run?
It was okay. I mean, it was all right. We didn't expect to set on a pole, and obviously we're not going to do it. But we weren't running good enough to set on a pole, so we're going to have a good start, and this is a good racetrack for us. We don't sit on the pole here very often anyway.
Will you make any changes between now and Sunday?
Well, yes.
Like what?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Jeff McClure's car is doing a makeup right now. It'll be the last car out. Jeff McClure will be the final one. Well, I'll tell you, Jeff Gordon may have some numerology against him out here, Neil. Car 24. Car 24 has never won a Charlotte race. It's never won a Winston Cup race. Never. Since back in the beginning in 1949.
Well, I'll tell you what, 24 has almost won already. He had a strong run at Daytona. Young guys had a lot of really good races. Like you know, the second right here to Earnhardt earlier in the season. This young man right here is going to win a bunch of races.
163, 164 is not going to get it done on car number 58. Jeff McClure out of Denver, North Carolina. Out here as the final car. Out of line, and so he's now on the speedway.
Oh, I don't know.
And will not make the top 20. And we'll be back to talk with this young man who is on the pole. Hendrick cars to start 1st, 4th, and 8th in the Mellow Yellow 500 this Sunday. Stay with us and meet Jeff Gordon.
Down here, first career pole. How agonizing was it for you to watch all those fast cars eat away at you?
Well, there was 2 that I was really worried about, Mark Martin and Ricky Rudd, my own teammates. So, man, I knew we cut a good lap, but I didn't know how good it was till I saw the crowd's reaction. But, you know, I can't say enough for these guys on this DuPont crew. Ray Evernham's the best crew chief there is, and he's not going anywhere, I guarantee you. But it's got to be the car. That's all I can say.
How hard did you dump that thing into the first corner?
Real hard. Probably harder than I should have. I actually drifted up a little bit. You know, if you notice, I mean, the car wasn't on the white line, you know, which is characteristic the way you should do it here. But my foot was on the gas, and that's what really counted.
Oh, congratulations. Corinna Konamaki.
Ricky Rudd, how tough is it to wait and go out last on a night like this?
Well, really, I would think that it would be an advantage. We're a little bit disappointed with our run because we had run a little quicker than that in the heat of the day. I really can't. I think the later you went, it had to be an advantage. We just I don't have an answer for it. We should have run quicker than that, really, because in practice, Schrader, of the 3 Hendricks cars, Schrader's was the quickest, mine next, and then Gordon. And Gordon cranked out a heck of a lap. They hit everything just right, and all 3 of the Hendricks cars are running great here this weekend. So hopefully we didn't do part 1 right. Maybe we can get part 2 right, and that's what we came to do, try to win this race.
Do you do anything different for night qualifying versus day qualifying?
Well, I tell you, the lights at Charlotte Motor Speedway are so good, you really don't notice the difference in night and day like you would think. Walking around the garage area in the garage, it's dark, and you think, well, I wonder if I'm going to be adjusted to this light when I get on the racetrack. As soon as you pull onto the racetrack, it's lit up just like it is in the daytime. They've done an excellent job.
Ricky Rudd had a great run here tonight. We'll review for you the top 20 for the Mellow Yellow 500. Half a second separates the top 20 here at Charlotte. Back in a moment. Credit for young Jeff Gordon and the way he has come on and his potential for being a superstar. But here's one of the people most responsible, Dick Berggren.
And Ken Squire, the glamour's all going on behind me in Victory Lane. This garage area is almost empty, but here's the guy behind the scenes, John Bickford, his stepfather, who has guided this young man's career all the way. Are you surprised at how fast he has hit in Winston Cup?
Well, I don't know if surprise is a word. I think that the organization that he's with is what helped him accomplish what he's been able to accomplish. Rick Hendrick has formulated a superior organization, and he has Ray Evernham and Charlie Seegers and Randy Dorton and all the guys. I mean, you can't name them all, and every one of them are dedicated to performance. And you know, I think Ricky Rudd and Schrader have proven that in years past, and the opportunities just been presented, it just helps them to do better. I mean, I'm just totally elated that he had the opportunity to be with Rick. and he's showing through the year that he deserved it. You know, he's just working really hard. So
it is a team effort, and this man is part of the team.
So let's indeed look at the team that will start the race on Sunday, the top 20. Gordon's there with Ernie Irvin, Bodine, Schrader, Elliott. The top 5 on the outside of row 3 is Greg Sachs. Then Martin, Rudd, Earnhardt, Bodine. Joe Nemechek has done a great job in qualifying here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Jimmy Spencer for Bobby Allison carrying the colors well today. And rounding out the top 20, it's Michael Waltrip at 174.5. And the field 0.55 seconds apart from first to 20th. So that's how they've qualified the top 20. And there'll be 20 more to go and 40 to start. We get down to serious business on Sunday in the Mellow Yellow 500.